I live in a house surrounded by a beautiful, dense forest. Or at least I did. My new neighbor decided that his wife's dream view was more important than my property lines. He cut down 50 of my trees while I was on vacation, but he didn't realize those trees were protected by a very expensive legal loophole. By the time I was done with him, he didn't just lose the view, he lost his house. Meet Greg. Greg bought the lot next to mine and immediately started complaining that my trees blocked his sunset. I told him politely that the trees were on my land and they weren't going anywhere. Greg just smirked and said, "We'll see about that." 2 weeks later, I came home from a work trip to find a clearing where my forest used to be. Greg had hired a crew to cut down every single tree that bothered him. Greg was standing on his porch, glass of wine in hand, looking proud. He actually waved at me and said, "Looks better, doesn't it?" I didn't scream. I didn't even argue. I just called an arborist and a lawyer. See, in my state, we have tree equity laws. If you cut down a mature tree on someone else's property, you don't just pay for a new sapling. You pay the replacement value of a full-grown, 50-year-old tree. And Greg had cut down 50 of them. The bill came out to over $400,000. But that wasn't the best part. Because the trees were part of a specific environmental tax deferment scheme, cutting them down triggered a massive back tax penalty from the county. Between my lawsuit and the government's fines, Greg was looking at a 7-figure debt. He tried to fight it in court, but the judge was a nature lover. Greg had to sell his dream house just to cover the legal fees. Now, a new family lives there. They've promised to help me replant the forest, and Greg, last I heard, he's living in a tiny apartment with a view of a brick wall. Don't touch a man's trees. This is Shadow Stories. Subscribe if you think Greg got